Hi, let's take a look at X-Men issue 10. This is written by Jed MacKay, penciled by Netho Diaz, ink by Sean Parsons, and colored by Fer Sifuentes-Sujo. Full spoilers ahead, so you're forewarned. Reading this issue, it occurred to me that Q was absent from most of the raid crossover, apart from the first issue. I had forgotten he was there, and all the complaints I had regarding the X-Men leaving everyone behind is made worse by the fact that they have an Omega level psychic in addition to Quanon and Xavier in that fight, and did nothing but gave up. Also, what happened to Marauders? Hi, Future Tyler here. Kid Omega was in part 1 and a couple of panels in part 2. I guess we all forgotten about him after he was taken out by Perimeter in Uncanny X-Men 7. Perhaps the X-Men went and get him before Magic teleported everyone else back to the factory. I'm trying really hard to put the whole crossover behind and ignore it, as I do not want to be colored by the nonsense of that crossover. Because this is good. I agree. I mean, first of all, the through line for Cyclops is on point. Very on point, in fact. This is the leader that I would have expected to step up and take the reins post Krakoa. Not the whole we just let all Krakoans disperse into all corners of Earth Cyclops. This is Utopia Cyclops. This is the one who's out to ensure that mutant kind is safe. Yep, which makes it all the more baffling when he did not rescue all the wrongly incarcerated mutants in Grey Malkin prison. Speaking of, there is some clarity regarding Grey Malkin prison in this issue. It is a private entity given wide latitude by the US government, so all the mutants are effectively kidnapped. Since the prison is a private entity and do not have any legal rights to incarcerate anyone, right? Yep. Also, how would the US government be able to take something that is owned by Xavier and give it to a private entity? I mean, I don't know. The warden and everyone, there are effectively trespassing and squatting. Well, I mean, it is a little bit more than that, though. ONE, do you say ONE or do you say one? Anyway, in this instance, ONE is acting on behalf of Grey Malkin Prison as a quick pro quo for them taking Xavier off the government's hand, which begs the question, why? We probably won't get the answer until Hunt of X-Men, I suppose. I hope that is less of a disaster that is raid. Anyway, I have no doubt that Cyclops being this hardened will land differently for different people. Some might even call him a terrorist. But, like you said, this tracks for his character. He had lost his country, his wife, he does not have Emma with him, or Logan. This is someone whom have lost and had been through a lot during Fall of Krakoa. He had shown he could and would make hard decisions for mutants. He had warned Agent Luxvik in issue 3 not to push him too hard. He was the one whom had detailed plans during Krakoa to defend his country, so he of course have plans within plans here. If only there had not been this weird gap between Krakoa leaving for the White Torch room and the start of this era where the senior X-Men did nothing for all the Krakoans left behind. And anyway, no, I do not think he's a terrorist and that he would really go through with what he threatened, as evidenced by his contact with King Becklem. Yeah, I mean, I agree that Cyclops was only threatening and basically playing chicken with Agent Ludwig. He will not go through with it. This is, as Cyclops says, brinkmanship. This is how far he needs Agent Ludwig to think he will go. when he's left with no other alternatives. And speaking of the agent, he was about to attack the factory. And when Cyclops wanted to defuse the situation by, well, kind of, by meeting for a talk, he actually had the audacity to turn around and accuse Scott of like trying to provoke an incident. I mean, he had those flying things outside the factory. And I guess he had forgotten that he sent men into the factory previously. He also has this mistaken notion of how mutant powers work. There is no energy meter that drops to zero with mutant powers. Nothing in the tank. That kind of does not make sense. I'm glad that Cyclops called him out on it. The other parts of the story, the Helion's Protocol, that is something like X-Force during the Utopia era, Black Ops team, except that, like you said, murder is not on the docket here. Given what happened when Boom Boom was last on such a team reporting to Cyclops, I'm kind of surprised to see her here. There are some rather deep cuts in this team of Hellions. King Bedlam and his brother Jesse Bedlam, and Locust looking very different with her black hair. We also have Phantomax in the mix, whom, when we last saw him, had chosen to remain in the world with Ned. I like the flair given to Phantomax in this issue, which tracks with the character. Again, given how many Morrison's era callbacks that MacKay had included thus far, I shouldn't be surprised to see Phantomax appear, but I kind of am, pleasantly so. Unlike the Black Ops X-Force team, this one is simply on a contract basis with Cyclops. Cyclops owe King Bedlam a debt payment someone's head. I think that's what he said. I wonder who that person is. Helion's Protocol was previously mentioned in issue 8, where Cyclops told Q to get that ready. So I'm kind of glad to see the details of this. And like you said, plans within plans. Cyclops even used Phoenix as a threat and have Q in place as the backup plan should Dark Phoenix resurface if his threat did not stick and he was killed. And I will say this again. Why then did the raid happen the way it did? Like, seriously, why? I do not have a good answer to that. But this issue is great. Cyclops basically costing ONE a lot of money and setting them back. He is basically retaliating, and taking out his pent-up frustration on ONE. Though I think ONE is just the unfortunate one to show up when they did. Maybe Cyclops and Beast already have things in place and were planning to take down the prison and ONE at one go, until Rogue went rogue and everything got messed up. Unlike the way Raid ended, this is at least satisfying for me, to see X-Men score a win. And as much as I love MacKay's Cyclops, I hate his Magneto just as much. Apart from that nonsense with RLDS, which we had previously tore into, chief of all, this Magneto wasn't even resurrected. We are now making him suicidal? Like, seriously. Also, I can't remember, but did Zon actually try to heal him, of his illness at this point in time? I do not think so. I do like that Ben called Max out on it, and that he's willing to stay and defend the factory, even though, he just arrived at the factory not long ago. Furthermore, Zon alone should be sufficient to take out all those goons. Max do not even need to lift a finger. What would be kind of fun, though, is to see Glob use a frying pan to defend the factory. And finally, Q being less of an annoying little jerk and revealing that he's actually aware of things is a plus to me. This is also the first issue drawn by Diaz that I thought is good throughout. A lot of my previous criticisms of his art are really not present in this issue. at least not in a very obvious way. Characters do not look older than they are supposed to, and while some poses look slightly awkward, they are not like in my face awkward. The good though are plentiful. Like Heir of Apocalypse, Diaz had to handle quite a number of characters in this issue. Unlike Heir though, he handled the numerous characters well, from the X-Men to the Rescues to Hellions to ONE Goons to the Agent Lunswigs. The characters are not only distinct but also remain very recognizable, given all the things that the story took them through. And the expressions tend towards snarls and grimaces in this issue, but otherwise, in combination with like body language, there are some fun ones that help. Well, kind of fun that help sell the scenes, like Glob panel, with his frying pan, the agent being taken aback when Cyclops pulled his gun and placed it against his forehead, and this panel which shows Cyclops and Agent Luxvik expression via the use of the reflection on Cyclops' visor. And as we had previously mentioned, the level of background details in Diaz's art matches that of Stackman's, thus maintaining a somewhat consistent look between the two rotating art teams. I also appreciate the juxtaposition of the SQ panel design in the Hellions and initial factory scenes versus the straight rectangular panels in the scenes between Cyclops and Agent Luxvik, to differentiate between the more action-oriented versus the talking head scenes. Overall, I like this issue. MacKay have always had a strong handle on Cyclops, and this issue is a good example of that. But his Magneto dragged this down a notch. I would say it is a 3.75 out of 5. I agree. If not for the Magneto scene, I would have given it a 4. So it is definitely worth checking out. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Please share this with your friends and leave a comment below. Thanks, and Tyler out.